Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. I have another great vegan recipe for you today. I've done this, many variations of this recipe, and it's always turned out really satisfying and delicious. So what it is vegan meatballs. So to begin, I am going to saute in a couple of tablespoons of olive oil, 1 onion and some garlic, and some mushrooms. Now don't worry about cutting it up real pretty because it's just going to go in the food processor. And don't worry right now about the list of ingredients and amounts. It's all going to be in the info box. Plus, when you're doing this type of a recipe, it's hard to use exact amounts. I'll give you approximate amounts, and if you need to adjust the recipe, depending on what kind of mushrooms you use, or if your onion is a little bit bigger than my onion was or a little bit smaller, you're going to have to adjust the dry ingredients, so keep that in mind. Speaking about mushrooms, I like to use portobello mushrooms because they have a meaty type flavor to them and they're readily available. Sometimes when a recipe calls for obscure mushrooms, it gets a little bit frustrating and expensive, so I like to stick with the portobello because that's going to emulate meat the most. Alright, once everything starts getting soft and the mushrooms are giving off their liquid, it's time to move everything. See the liquid in the bottom of the pan? It's time to start moving everything to the food processor. And try and use a slotted spoon because you don't want a lot of this liquid in there because that's just going to make it really mushy. It's all ground up, that's what it should look like, and to that we're going to be adding the rest of the ingredients, which is ground pepper, Himalayan sea salt or sea salt, some basil, some flour, and Italian breadcrumbs. So once you get all those ingredients in, the last ingredient is just brown rice that's cooked. This is a little bit loose. If I was frying this on the stove, which you can do, I would add a little bit more flour. But I'm going to bake these in the oven because I don't want the extra oil and extra calories. So I'm baking these on some parchment paper. I'm using my 1 tablespoon scoop to scoop out the meatballs so that they're all the same size and that they'll cook evenly. I'm going to pop these in the toaster at 375 for probably about 20 minutes and then check them. These have been cooking for half an hour at 375. So I'm just flipping them over now so that they can dry out on the bottom too. You can kind of see the moisture that's in the parchment paper. If I had added more flour, like I probably should have, they probably would have been done cooking by now. But I used way more mushrooms because I wanted to use them up. I used 12 ounces instead of 8. So I'm going to cook these for a little bit longer, maybe another 10 or 15 minutes at 375 to see if I can get them a little bit firmer. I mean, you could eat them like that, they're good. But I like them a little bit firmer so that they don't get all messed up in the sauce. So I'm just going to pop these back in and then I should be ready to start cooking the pasta so we can eat. Here they are out of the oven. Mark just tasted one. He said they were amazing. So I'm going to put them all in this bowl with the sauce and heat them up, and that's dinner. So I hope you try this recipe. It's really simple. It's really tasty. And until next time, much love.
Edit.